in Singapore. So one of the reasons why I travel so much is because it's a reminder of how fragile life is and how every day is a precious moment. And just with the series of incidents that happened lately, it serves as a reminder once again how precious time is and how precious you are. So here's what happened. And a lot of you have probably heard this story before already if you've met me in the last 6 months or so. Rewinding back to 8 months ago, I went rock climbing as usual, but I just had a freak accident where I hit my knee on a rock while going for another hold, and then the pain came surging back again. A resurgence of a previous injury where I had torn my ACL because of skiing in Japan, and that was sometime in 2018. But there was a partial tear, and when I went to see the doctor, thank God for insurance. When I went to see the doctor said it was just a partial tear, I can probably just live with it. But I knew then when I hit my knee on the rock that the pain came and it never went away. So every time I kind of do a squat, whenever I bear my weight on the knee, I would feel an unbearable pain where I would not be able to bear weight on the knee. And so because I was still on the road then, I had been traveling for 1.5 years, I wasn't ready to go back home. I kind of just waited and tried to see if it would recover on its own. And then sometime in middle of the year, July 2022, I decided to go and see an MRI, a doctor, and then take an MRI in Greece, Athens, thanks to my insurance provider, passport card Nomads, which confirmed the fact that I had fully torn my ligament on the right knee, which is a very common injury with skiers and football players. And the only option that my doctor gave was that I had to do a surgery because I have started to wear off a part of my meniscus. So stubborn me, because of my sense of adventure and the fact that I thought I'm young and, with a good recovery, I thought that, I could probably just be gentle with myself and I can hold on for a couple more months when I finish my Euro trip, and that's when I'll go back to Asia and get it treated. But the more I went on, the less I wanted to come back home, because I knew how long the recovery period was going to be, and the thought of artificially inserting stuff into my body was just not very appealing. So I'd just been putting it off. And I had gotten some good massage treatments in Bali when I was there in December 2022, and in January I've come to know a really good massage therapist there, and they really helped to relieve my pain in the way that I was no longer in pain whenever I walk down the stairs, whenever I'm doing my daily exercise. I started being able to go surfing, I started being able to do high intensity jumping workouts, which I previously could not do at all. So that was a positive sign, and so I thought, okay, I'm just going to enjoy my life to the fullest in Bali, because that's where my chosen family is, or at least that's where I feel really at home at. And then one fateful day on the 15th of February 2023, just last month, I was walking back. By the way, if you checked my previous videos, I have told you multiple times how Bali is not a walkable place. You need to rent a bike or be prepared to just take a taxi everywhere, whether on the scooter or with a car. So one fateful day, because I was in close proximity to a restaurant, and I decided to go have dinner with some friends, and we were walking back to our co-working space, and this was in the Canggu shortcut, and we were walking back to Tropical Nomad. The whole street was dark, as with most of the areas in Canggu or in Bali in general. One moment I was just walking and bloop, I fell into an abyss that I'd never know if I could get out of. But my friends whom I've been having dinner with, they were really kind, they were really helpful. Brandon pulled me up right away, and I was clearly in shock. I didn't know what was happening. I tried to assess my injury with a torch on my phone, and there was just a hole punctured at the bottom of my knee. I was at a loss. I was really scrambling to figure out what to do. My friends were like screaming ideas in my mind. They were like insisting that they want to come along to see a doctor. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, it doesn't hurt that much. I can probably walk to my scooter and ride a bike to a nearby clinic, which proved to be a bad idea. So we flagged down the nearest taxi, and the Gojek driver like took me to a hospital, which they were saying, oh sorry, there are no doctors here, please go to the next one. And then we drove like a million miles away to another hospital, which said, sorry, our emergency room is full, you have to wait another hour. By then the blood is dripping all over my leg, and I clearly could not wait because I was in excruciating pain. So we eventually found a 24-hour medical center who managed to stitch up the wound. He said that it was pretty deep. It almost cut into my muscle, but thankfully it didn't. So it was a simple procedure, very straightforward. He cleaned my wound after injecting local anesthesia and stitched 5 stitches onto my wound. Gave me antibiotics, gave me a tetanus shot and all that, and I was told to rest. Obviously the next day I was in so much pain I couldn't even get out of bed, but I'm so thankful for Jeremy for taking care of me. The following days that led up to that, I felt like I was on the road to recovery, and I had all these plans coming up. Like I was supposed to go to Uluwatu for a shoot, and then my trip to Vietnam was in 2 weeks, which I went anyway. If you saw, on the first week of March, I went to Vietnam, and I was supposed to go on a trip to Thailand after that, beach in the sun and all of that. But as the days went on, I realized I could not bend my knee without being in excruciating pain. And I had gotten really, really stressed and worried about it, because if it's just a superficial cut, which was already healing, I wasn't feeling any pain because the wound had started to close up, then why am I feeling so much pain? Why am I still limping? Why am I still not able to bear weight on that knee? And this is the other knee from the ACL knee. And so I decided to come back to Singapore because this was really worrying me, and it takes a lot for me to return to Singapore. I mean, I've been gone for 2 years for a reason. And not that I was a believer of any gods, but I was hoping against all odds that it would be something minor and that I would still be able to get on with my life. After seeing the doctor and taking the MRI, I had the rest of the next few months planned. I was supposed to go back to Bali and live out my nomad life with the best, most talented people for the next month before returning to Singapore, before going to Thailand to work with some hotels, and then going to Europe to do my jazz. And so I went to see the doctor who took me to see the MRI, and my parents, they were really worried, of course. They were really sad. It's always when I end up in trouble that I return to Singapore, so I'm sorry for putting this on them. They were really, I guess, a little sad to see me, to see how much I was hurting, because like with the slight touch of my swollen, inflamed knee, I would start, breaking into tears. So when the MRI result came out, I realized that I had torn my patella tendon at the bottom. It was a partial tear. On the good side, it's not like I required surgery on that knee. I just needed to wear a brace for 2 to 3 weeks. I would have to be in one place and just rest up. On the other hand, I mean, emotionally, I wasn't prepared for this because I was so used to an active lifestyle. I was so used to having control. I was so used to having independence and the freedom to do whatever I want. This is a particularly difficult period, especially because I've been away from home for so long that I feel like a foreigner in my own home. I used to have a solid community of friends in Bali that I had developed, that I could go to whenever I needed any emotional support. So having to bear in mind that I would have to be in Singapore for the next 3 weeks was especially difficult. And you might think that, okay, it's just 3 weeks and then you can go about your life. This was kind of like the universe's sign for me to stop postponing my ACL surgery any further, as I had been doing that for a long time. And the latest MRI also showed that not only is it fully ruptured, it's a high-grade ACL tear. I also had my meniscus displaced and torn, and like 30% of it is irreparable. So the longer I drag it out, the further the wear and tear is going to be, and the higher risk of me developing arthritis early on in my years would come. And so, I mean, it sounds like this is inevitable, and the time has come for me to do a surgery. The reason why I had been putting it off for so long is because the rehab period is pretty long process. The keyhole surgery, where they would insert 2 holes. It would be a local procedure, very quickly done in 1.5 hours maximum. The days following that would consist of me not being able to bear weight, basically not being able to walk, be on crutches for 5 weeks or so, and then the next 10 weeks would be a lot of rehab, a lot of limited mobility, as if I'm already not mobile enough with this other injured knee, which would basically put me out for a good 3 months at least. And so this realization was really difficult to bear, because for someone who's had travel been the identity of her life, and for someone whose life has been, blessed with freedom and flexibility and the freedom of choice, it's like it's been ripped out of me for this period of time at least. And it really sucks, because as someone who's such an active individual, for someone who really thrives being around people, my world has suddenly shrunk to just me. And it's especially difficult to bear, because in a time like this where I feel like I really want or need emotional support, and suddenly it's just me, myself, and I mean, I'm still very blessed to have the support of my parents, who are pampering me to no end, but it feels lonely at times, and it feels like the people that I thought were gonna be there for me are no longer there. So it's been quite an emotional journey for me, being stuck in one place, in one seat, except for when I need to go to do nature's business. I try not to let my thoughts run about too much. I try not to harp on the fact that the people that were once there for me, who used to be someone that I thought I could rely on, is no longer there. And so it's like I have to learn how to stand on my 2 feet again, literally. And just the fact that I no longer have a sense of privacy and control in my life, it's just something that I have to get used to. But at the same time, having it being ripped from me all of a sudden has been difficult to accept momentarily. On the other hand, the silver lining is that I more than ever feel very appreciative of my body that I'd been taken for granted. My legs are really precious. Like, if you guys know me from my schooling days, I used to run a lot. I used to do half marathons. I rock climb. I was a competitive rock climber for a good 4 years before rock climbing recreationally. I love being in the outdoors. I love bending with yoga, stretching, things like that. So I am truly very grateful for my body. Like unprecedented incidents like this that really serve as a reminder to how we should not take anything for granted. And that is part of the reason why I travel, to put myself in the discomfort, to embrace the unexpected, to find growth and learning in situations that put me in uncomfortable positions. And this is one of those situations. And so more than ever, I'm very grateful to be alive, to still have my sight, to appreciate everything around me, to still be able to feel plenty in both good and bad spectrums. And I want to share with you one of my Instagram posts where I had written after I've done a Kriya ceremony. So here it goes. When I gave myself a big hug for myself, I realized how much I've been pushing myself to be better, to be stronger, to be more independent, more financially successful, more work, more connections, more opportunities, more places. What I didn't realize was how unkind I was to my body. And it's finally found a way to get back to me in the form of an injury, a nagging one that reminds me of every step, with every time I cross my leg. As we release in the form of intense exhales and inhales, and our bodies connect with Mother Earth, this intensity started rising up my body, and it came through in the form of tears. I had never felt so strongly about this anguish I have towards myself. This was catharsis at its pinnacle. Welcome to the full moon Kriya Yoga ceremony. And so I definitely see it as the universe's way of trying to ask me to slow down, to maybe take a pause with travel. And if you've been speaking with me, I've been sharing how I am tired from moving around so much that I have not really been that enthusiastic with travel for the sake of traveling and checking off places anymore. And I've been trying to look for a base. And so this could be the universe's sign to really help me pause and realign my focus and my vision, instead of just always running after the next shiny object. Yeah, and so on the plus side, I've been super duper focused with work. If I met you in Bali, you know how much I struggle with distractions, because there's just so much going on there and there's so much happening, there's so much like connections to be made, which is why I love it. The idea of like talking to new people, with different talented people, really stimulates my mind and really gets my entrepreneurial brain going and active. So with that being absent now, I can really focus on getting shit done, like doing the grind work. And so that had been really good. And especially since I can't really move anyway, all the time and all the energy is just channeled towards work. And it's also a good thing because I get to spend more time with family, I guess. Like, as much as I complain about it, and as detached as I am from this country and how I don't resonate with the way of life here, I still get to spend some precious time with my parents, and so that is nice. And so for now, you will find me bedridden, well, not really bedridden, but chair-ridden in Singapore, trying to make the best of everything, hustling really hard, like trying to be, going blind from all that staring off the screen, which is something that I should do anyway, because I've been very inspired by the people I've met in Bali who are hustling so hard. I don't necessarily support the hustle culture, which is why I had developed my lifestyle to one where I can enjoy and love working at the same time, so it doesn't feel like work. Sometimes I tell people I work like 10 hours a week, but there is benefit in hustling hard, and there is benefit in working smarter, which I am gonna put in this couple of months. So if you guys are in Singapore in the next few weeks or months, I would love to bring you guys around, well, as much as I can. I would love to just bring my friends to me because I can't go to them. Guys, please travel with a travel insurance. Embrace the positive. Be comfortable with the discomfort. Take every opportunity as a learning journey. And most importantly, carpe diem. Seize the day, because you never know what's gonna happen to you tomorrow. Like, honestly, trust me, I've heard a lot of accidents that have happened while traveling, and it really just goes to show you that life is truly precious. Thanks for listening. This is my story. Life and travel is not always perfect. You can fall into a hole any time of the day and any time of the year. So I hope this is a reminder for you to really go out there and live your life today. See you in the next video.